Remember, all episodes Memphis in May. Go to STSPOD.club. Be there. All right, we're here on 4/23/2023. It is 12:07 p.m. This episode will be airing in all episodes Memphis in May. I gotta say it that way. Remember, you all episodes Memphis, and then you gotta pause and say in May so I don't get sued for Memphis in May. And we're gonna do another one of your matches. We have YouTube. The STS Pod YouTube will have the match that the last match we did, the tag team match, was This Is With You. And we're building a storyline probably when this comes out. And I don't know the ending of all this storyline, but by the time this comes out, is sometime in May, you're probably, I'm just guessing, but by what they're doing, you're probably going to be a heel, right?
What's that? What's a heel?
I knew you weren't going to spoil me.
What is a heel?
Lonnie,
I will tell you. I'll tell you this. Everyone is the hero in their own story.
You're right about that. Yes, no matter what, you're always.
So no, I'm not going to be a heel. I am and will always be the hero in my story.
There's a reason why you do what you do. So there
Exactly.
you go. We've talked a little bit, me and you, and then I've talked to a lot of the guys on Memphis Wrestling. Either we mentioned him on the podcast, but I messaged a couple guys this week when I watched Tim's match with Brad on Main Event Bradley. I reached out to a couple of people and I was like, how easy is this guy to work? Is he really a natural? And then somebody said he gets it and he shouldn't be getting it right now. And somebody else said somebody mentioned to me, look at him, he's getting bigger. And he looks like he's gaining anywhere. On this tapings, he looks like he's smaller than he was at the tapings from Saturday's show. And they said he's so easy to work with, but he's what do you want me to blah, blah, blah. But you have experience in two ways with this kid. You're an agent backstage, and you also have had two matches with him. This is the second one. I wanted to do the second one because I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't as huge a fan of the first one. It felt like y'all were, and maybe one of these days we'll go back and watch it. It felt like y'all were trying to do too much too quick, or y'all had some other stuff you had to do and didn't get in what you should have done. I don't know. We'll go back to that.
It was. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll pull back the curtain. We were originally had a lot more time than we ended up getting. And so during the match, I cut out a lot of the match. So, and that's on me. That happens. That happens when you get in the ring and then all of a sudden you're 3 minutes shorter. And 3 minutes is a long time on a television show. Yes. So, yes, a long time in the television show. So it was about 3, maybe 4 minutes that we were cut while we were out there. So as we were going along, it was on me. I called the match. I agented the match. The intention was to get him over. And what it was is we had more story that we were telling that would have worked better if it was in it for the ending. But with that cut out of it, the ending still done its job. It just would have been even better had that stuff been stayed in it. But I mean, it's a part of the business. I mean, it's one of those things.
You're saying that, and I know I talked about this. We talked about this with Sleazy E. He was on very end of April. I told everyone this was a prelude to all episodes Memphis in May. And he talked about being a ref and being told, look, tell them they only got 3 minutes left, blah, 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 when it comes to that. But when you do that, Austin, when they tell you got less than you thought you had, I always kid about this, but the brain is just one of those things that boom, boom, boom. There's so much going on and you make so many decisions so quick with the brain. But do you think to yourself, okay, I got 3 minutes instead of 5. We already did. Can you go through that much in your mind as you're wrestling? We already did this, this, and this. Let's make sure I get this spot in, but I'm not going to. Do you have to do all that just on fly, right?
Yes, yeah, and a lot of, I mean, I guess a lot of people say that I'm like one of the best in the world at doing that. You know, when you take and in your head, you're trying to, you had a story to tell out, and you should be able to change things on the fly regardless, because if the crowd isn't buying something, you need to be able to cut out stuff. And for me, you know, it's one of those where it's you try to think in your head. You're like, all right, you know what the end of the story is for the match. You still have to get to there, but what can you take out that won't hurt getting to that? So I mean, it's extremely hard. A lot of times, it's kind of a gut reaction. Just for years in the business, that I'll take this part, this part, this part out, and then immediately after the match, when I get back to the back, I think to myself, I'm like, crap, I should have cut this out and not this. I mean, I always second guess myself, like, you know, I should have done this instead of this, and it would have been even better. I'm always second guessing myself, kind of thing. But as far as, you know, the first match was, you know, it was supposed to be a good. It was even better, you know, time permitting. It would have been even better than what it was. It was still a very good match, but I knew on this one especially. So we get there, Gabe Sapolsky's there, and Dustin and Sarah come up to me. All right, listen, we've got to get this kid over, and Gabe really wants to see him.
The idea is that who wins this match is going to be the franchise of Memphis Wrestling. We have the franchise Shane Douglas on commentary. You had an interview segment the week before that I told you it gave me chill bumps, and you was like, why? And I said, it was just the idea that you have been. I know your story, and they do a good job in Memphis Wrestling going on what your story is. But I've been a friend of yours and a fan of Austin Lane, the wrestler, and I know your story.
You're the one.
I know what we want to get for point A. I always say from point A to point B, but I think this is point A to point Z on what they started with when you first started Memphis Wrestling to this program that we're probably right in the middle of when this comes out. But all these matches right here, and you got. I mean, we're not really probably telling anyone at Memphis Wrestling anything, but you got a little impatient with wanting to tell this story. You wanted it to start a little sooner, but this is part of the story. You got beat once by Bosby, and it's the whole story. Have you ever been beat 2 times in a row? You know, they put that over. It's, you know, in your history, have you been beat 2 times in a row? And well, spoiler alert, he gets beat. But yeah, we'll go ahead and watch this. I'm going to start out. I love listening to matches that you have done. So let me get this one started, and you can. I've already muted it. Let me say that this match is on MemphisWrestling.com. So if you're on the YouTube channel at Memphis Wrestling, if you're just listening to the audio and you want to pull up the video and watch it, because I don't know when it'll go on Memphis Wrestling, we're going to start the video and just do a search, go Memphis Wrestling, and then do a search on Memphis Wrestling YouTube. I did it Bosby Lane. It'll even say Shane Douglas on commentary. If you're listening to the audio version, you can also go to the notes. I'll have a link to it, but we're going to start at the 1 minute and 40-second spot. I'm going to push play and shut up. So we're at this is where Terrence made this match just mean so much by the way he announced it and the way y'all do that when it's a championship match. I think it means a lot.
Yeah, Terrence is so great at what he does too. But the fact that he does it for the big matches or the title matches, it really makes, you know, it tells a story that it makes it easier for the wrestlers to tell a story of how big and how big fat feel it is. You know, the beautiful new internet championship title.
Exactly what the referee did too. The referee right there made that match mean more. What he just did. And Bosby, in his little bit of, I mentioned from last, so this is 23rd, yesterday's show, where he's had so many people, but he's still a lone wolf. Up, slap to the face. Here we go.
Yeah, and the people that have worked me before. Yeah, people that have worked me before knows that slap is not easy to take.
All right, here we go.
So right off the bat, we're going for it, and just like we did with the last match that we covered. It's heat right off the bat. We've got a story already in the background, so we're telling this story, and right off the bat, you have shining, showing Bosby's power. A lot of time, what we do is right off the bat, I wanted to show exactly because I said, Dave is watching, so wanting to show not just telling the story for our audience, but we're also showing him what Bosby can do and how good Bosby is as far as selling. And I literally have told Bosby, during our matches, how to sell it, whether it's selling strong or selling, weak. I want to make sure that he's strong, that he's not bumping off of every punch or clothesline or whatever. I wanted to make sure that, even the little things that he does, that he still stays strong out of it. Because the stronger and the bigger that you make the guy, the bigger it makes you. Because if you beat him, you beat someone strong.
The top. You're going to do a move, but I thought he was doing a suplex on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I like
You're wrong.
I like that. Trying to get the crowd.
And this is what I have been using lately.
Oh,
boom, right to the head.
Knee trigger right there. If you're not watching that, and then we're going back to the top rope, working the crowd a little bit.
Right, and a lot of times, if I take and get cut off going to the top, I'll go back to it. And see, if you notice, what we're doing is we're trying to subvert your expectations. He goes up for the suplex, you expected it, and then immediately he goes. I go back up top. He puts the boot up. You're expecting the cutoff, but we didn't want to do it right there. And of course, what we did. We told the story in the match before. That spot right there is what we went into. I cut him off with that, so we didn't do it the second time. This time he's smarter. When I roll through, he stops himself. But of course, we still get to the desired point. We still want to get to go into the quote unquote heat. So what we did was we blocked the way we did it before, and then use another spot to get into it.
Tell me why Tell me why you didn't use him cheating something for the start of the heat. Why would you not do that with him?
Because to me, we don't want him to be completely. He's not a heel. He's Bosby. He's not a heel or a babyface. He's cocky. He's young. That kind of thing. We let the crowd choose for him. We're not wanting him to just sit there and cheat. We want him to be cocky.
And so, you want to show his power. So what you're doing is you're showing him as his power instead of just him raking the eyes and starting to heat.
Right. And as far as this finish and the finish from the match before, he didn't cheat to beat me. And what I wanted to say is, so like on the second match, it's telling a story from match to match as well, because the fact that I rolled through and this time he doesn't take the buckle, I wanted to tell the story that he's the young guy. He's learning every single time he wrestles, so he learns from what it's the same as what I did. I learned from what he done the past
3 times on that move.
Yeah. Turn. Oh, look. Austin Lane high flying a little bit. Now this one was a little nod to his trainer, Alan Steele.
Right. It was.
We wanted to do the steel trap for a big false finish. So we did the reverse crossbody. He caught me, hits the steel trap, and then of course being cocky, he waits a second. That way we still protect the steel trap. Or not the steel trap, but the slam. I'm sorry, not the trap. The trap is Alan Steele's finish or his submission. Then works his way up. He's going for the ripcord lariat, spin it out, but I turned it into the STF. We're telling that story because he hit me with that last time, and this time I got it scouted. But of course, the first time I go for it, I have him break it instead of
grabs
using
your
the rope
hands.
to break it or something. He overpowers and then
that
tosses
was
me
sweet
up.
right there. That was so sweet.
Yeah, he tosses me up, and I catch the leg again. Now this time, if you notice, the first time he was able to keep my hands from getting together. This time I've got them together, so we work it. And what we'll wind up doing is, since the first time he was able to break it strength wise, now we're a little bit longer into the match. If even the short amount of time now. Not really. I mean, it's a heel move, but it's not a cheat deal. He bites the hand, which I let go of the pressure. And you notice that what I'm doing is, okay, now he bit my hand. I'm ticked off. I'm signaling. I'm acting like I'm taking down straps, and I'm going to do his move on him. Spin out. Of course, there you go, duck. And what if you did? I don't know if you noticed on it, but as he spun out, the reason he's doing the forearm to the back is as soon as he spun out like that, I clenched his arm so he couldn't ripcord me.
There we go. It's
so
the
like
first
I ripcorded.
He went ahead. He's going to make sure that you're out and about. This is it. He did
this right here. The whole intention was I wanted, and didn't want the bump like that to be smooth. I didn't want to go inside out. I didn't want to take it flat. I wanted it to look like that I was out from the first one, and just wanted to cleanly put him over. He hits the finish, and I was basically out on my feet. Him holding me up, hits the second one. Didn't want it to look. I wanted it to look sloppy, the second bump, because I wanted it to look like I was already out.
Right.
So you notice I just kind of rolled through it. It was just that little thing I wanted to, to show that I was already out. If he takes and hits me and I take a pretty flat back bump, it doesn't show how devastating the first one was. So it was just that small thing that I wanted the first one to really put over that, one of them could knock somebody out. He just done the second one to just make sure I was out.
Well, here's something that you spend all this time. I'm using this match to get over Tim. We're going to get him over. And Gabe was there, so we're showing Gabe a little bit of what Tim can do. So Gabe can go, hey, we need to put this guy in our program. We need to put this guy in developmental, whatever. This guy needs to get this. What kind of advice you can get? But there's something that you're not talking about. But this loss is part of your story. Huge part of your story.
It is, yeah.
Because you're starting to do things that part of this story is you're not being able to get the big wins anymore.
Right.
And this is one of those. This is one of those that, and since I don't get spoilers, I really didn't know who was going to win. And when he got the second win on you, and I kind of knew where y'all were going with the story, I was like, oh, this is really the start of it. The next week you wouldn't, Austin, you should be ashamed of yourself. Or the next time you were on TV, you wouldn't let go of a hold. But that's just one of those things that shows the frustration of you being a wrestler for so long and just dealing with, and I don't know where you go on the microphone with this, but dealing with, this is real part of the story, is that you pride yourself on this, but sometimes you're put in a ring with somebody. Let's just be honest. Let's be honest. They're shitty. Oh, they're horrible. You pride yourself into trying to have a good match no matter what.
Right.
It's the old, I don't know if I've told this on this, but Motley Crue, I sat and listened to Motley Crue's, not Crue, not the band, but Crue's, he was some guy who was green as grass, was fixing to go wrestle Motley, and Motley said, what's your 3 best moves? That include your finisher. And they told him the 3 best moves, what they did better. And it was simple. It was like, I do a good arm drag, I do a good body slam, and my finisher is a power slam. And he said, don't do any more moves than that. Just do those 3 moves, and then the guy and listen to me. And I sat and watched the match, and I was in marvel at watching what Motley would do with that. But it's part of you. But this is the story part of it is that you get frustrated with other people getting opportunities that Austin Lane, and we're going to talk about something on Patreon, on the actual Patreon version. So guys, if you're watching this on or listening to it on the regular version, when we go to Patreon on this part of the episode, I got a real important question to talk to Austin about. But this is all part of the story. You're seeing people get titles, blah blah blah, and you not that this is false or anything, but you deserve the belts as much as in part of the story and legit part. This is shoot. You deserve the titles as much as anyone else at Memphis Wrestling for what all you have done. So how do you keep, and I know you don't always do it. We think about ourselves a lot, blah, we're people, but how do you keep that separated? Like, you know what you're doing. Like, this match had nothing to do with Gabe signing you to do anything, but maybe be an agent. You know, he can get you as an agent, but Gabe,
if you're watching this, call me. Yeah, that my dream job is to be an agent for one of those. Yes, but yeah, as far as like keeping it, you've got to realize that what you do, you have to be able to step back. You have to be able to step back and don't just look at it as you being a wrestler in a wrestling match or telling a story. You have to step back and see what the crowd is seeing and how would they feel about certain things. You have to be able to walk that line and tell that story. And I love the fact that, especially at Memphis Wrestling, we tell the long-term stories. I mean, we tell the long-term stories better than anyone in the business because, as you can see, you know, especially with WWE, you know, it changes, you know, daily and right before Raw or SmackDown. So, I mean, we are long-term storytelling, and you have to be able to step back and see from the, you know, outside of
what the end point is. What is going to happen in the end? Is this going to happen to me? And I know we text back and forth there about this story, and you was getting kind of impatient, and you said, man, are we going to do this? And I was just like, you know, I don't have any control whatsoever, but Dustin gets so busy. And I say this all the time, and people are like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll text him, sent videos, or I'll text him. That will be the only thing I text him for 6 weeks. And I won't hear nothing else except thank you. That's it. And then we'll start talking. So I didn't want to talk about this with him because it was an ongoing storyline. But me and y'all go back and listen. Me and Austin booked this story probably about the first episode of Best of the Best, or the second or third. We booked this storyline, so it's part of it.
Yeah,
we booked this story. All right, we're going to end it right here. If you're not a Patreon member, you cannot hear this part. We're going to talk about some stuff, as they call it, inside baseball about Memphis Wrestling. I have a question. Austin's been with Memphis Wrestling since the start, and there's some changes or some stuff that's going on all around the area, and we don't like to talk about it on the real show because, well, we want to talk about Memphis Wrestling here. So Patreon guys, thank y'all. Join us. Austin, you got anything last thing to say?
Not really. Just make sure you go out and support. Get on the Patreon for one. Get on the Best of the Best tier. You get videos. You get the T-shirts. You get so many extra perks that you don't even realize. It's stuff that, and honestly, it was stuff that BT didn't even ask for. I just wanted to make sure that that the people that were in the Best of the Best tier were taken care of. And
remember, all episodes Memphis in May. Go to STSPOD.club.